Santos, Blue Demon, Máscaras.
Jack Riccardi, 10 to 1, 550 KTSA.
Wonderful. This guy watched.
Oh man, I can't wait for that Green Hornet movie to come out because I'm going to model my superhero status after that. That's my guy, Green Hornet.
And Kato.
And Kato. I need somebody to be Kato. Who wants to be Kato? All right, Taylor will be Kato.
It's not easy.
Taylor will be my non-Asian Kato.
Right? That's Bruce Lee.
He's blue, green Hornet away.
All right, speaking of dressing up, one of the big stories of the week involved a man with a 30-year career in the Navy. He gets command of one of the most storied vessels in naval history, the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise. He had been the XO of the ship. About a year and a half ago, he became the commanding officer of the ship. For some reason, years after the fact, these videos come to light, which he produced on board the ship each week to introduce movie night for the crew. These videos include sketches and skits, kind of almost a Monty Python, Benny Hill, living color reject scripts kind of stuff, some slur words, scenes of women showering together, some nudity, some mimicked masturbation, and so forth. These come to light. Apparently there were some complaints at the time, and now Captain Owen Honor is relieved of command of the Enterprise and perhaps looking at the end of this otherwise highly decorated military career. What do you make of this story?
Well, I have to say, I heard about the story for a day or two before I actually saw the video, and nothing really prepared me for how painfully unfunny it was.
It is unfunny.
And how juvenile and stupid it was, and to the point where I almost felt sort of sorry for him because he seemed to put some real effort into it.
Is it possible, though, Gilbert, because I felt the same way, but is it possible that we're not the intended audience?
That's
that
true.
The young men and women on that ship have a different sense of humor
That's
than
true.
we have.
And I think for the most part it was harmless. I don't think he should have necessarily been relieved of his command there, and I certainly don't think it should mean the end of his career. The reason I would recommend a reprimand, the only real issue I had with this was that there were two instances where he used an anti-gay slur, and I think that while these videos were done years ago, they've come to the public attention at a time when Don't Ask, Don't Tell just recently repealed. There's sensitivity.
It has? What, they repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell? What? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I hear. And there's sensitivity about gays in the military, and I think that for the military to do nothing about that with this video out there, I think there would almost be a tacit approval of that kind of language. I'm sure this kind of language happens privately in the military, but I think that the fact that this is out there publicly, something had to be done.
So his sin was putting on tape what he could have gotten away with if he hadn't taped
But
it.
That's true. There's countless examples of that. People, having something
out
there.
Witch.
Yeah,
I'm not a witch.
But I think that's the problem. I think that if it's out there, I think they had to respond in some way.
But you would have liked to have seen a response short of ruining the guy.
Yes.
What about Louis? What about you? I mean, was it really necessary for this man's career to come to an end?
Colin Powell has credited ROTC and the military for his success because his personality just is one that thrives within that structure, that organization. And this young man or this man is the same type. He's a military guy, and they think a little bit differently. And it's a shame what's happening to him because he's had a great career, and his men supposedly really admired him, and he was doing it just to kind of, like you were saying, to be on the light side. And it's a shame that his career's going the way it is because of something that was really not well thought out.
Yeah. And first of all, what we were talking about before, I mean, how true is it? No harm will be done to you like you'll do to yourself. But the bigger issue is, one side, you'd like to judge all of us. We all want to be judged on the totality of what our lives are about. Right. But let's face it, in this world, it ain't that way. And if you do something incredibly stupid, that will discount all the good. If it's a pie, 99% is just fabulous, 1% stinks, you stink.
I wonder if we want a military that on the one hand can go into the darkest bowels of the earth and face the biggest scumbags humankind can produce. We want them to take on missions that are often where the deck is stacked against them, asymmetrical warfare, can't tell the enemy from the friend. We want this. We demand it. But at the same time, we want a military who will behave as if they're at a church supper. Yeah. I don't think we can have both. I don't think we've ever had both. And when I hear people say they need to get back to the decorum of fill in the blank here, whatever war they hearken back to, I want to tell them I don't think it was that way then either.
It never existed. Yeah, and
they just weren't videoing
and
it.
I think I think it's a comparable thing to sports. I mean, the kind of person who's going to play professional football, for instance, that you have to have a certain type of mindset that I don't think the average person could handle. And at the same time, a lot of the stuff that is said and done in locker rooms is not the most politically correct. And I think we all understand that. But I think when this got out publicly, it sort of puts the military in a position where if they ignored it, there was almost a tacit approval of those two instances that I mentioned.
All right. Here's a guy who's getting a job or keeping a job as opposed to losing one. Jason Garrett, officially now the coach. I don't know whether to send condolences or congratulations of the Dallas Cowboys. But look, I got to say, every single sports guy I talked to, all of our so-called experts down the hall at ESPN, there's no way he'll get the job. They can't possibly hire Jason Garrett. Everybody said he couldn't get this job. He wouldn't get this job, that Jerry Jones wouldn't hire him. I don't know. I don't think they had any choice, right? I mean, the guy did so well, you had to hire him, Louis, right?
Well, I mean, I think so. I mean, I don't follow sports as much as I did in my youth, only because I have to follow politics with every ounce of time that I have. But yeah, I mean, the guy turned around the worst year the Cowboys had in their new stadium, and now they're looking pretty good. He got them to believe in themselves, and I guess he took a page out of Vince Lombardi's playbook, and it worked really well.
I think
with this squad.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I think Jim, I think this guy. For the first time in a long time, they've hired someone who's not a tool. They've hired someone who's actually going to stand on his own 2 feet.
And maybe we would like to be him, because there was high expectations. How quickly we forget. Remember of Dallas playing a Super Bowl in his own backyard.
Thanks for bringing that up, Jim.
No, there was there was serious talk of that. He's not going to have those type of expectations. Okay,
yeah, true.
So I think it's not a bad gig for him.
And I think he's younger than some of the other coaches that were talked about, and I think he's got the fire because he hasn't done it yet. He studied under Jimmy Johnson. I think he's the closest in temperament and approach to Jimmy Johnson. The ongoing problem with the Cowboys will be what it has been really since Jimmy Johnson left, which is that Jerry Jones is basically running the franchise, and no matter how good the coach is, the personnel decisions are being made by Jerry Jones, and it's going to cause problems.
I'm sure he'll stay out of the way now, though, Gilbert. Yeah, from now on, he's learned his lesson now. He'll be fine now.
I mean, the other thing too, that the NFC in particular is a lot more competitive. I don't think you can make a case there's a super team in the NFC that's going to dominate.
Right.
It's just a great time.
Right.
I mean, this Cowboy team could win 11, 12 games next year and go far.
We love this parity thing going on here, don't we? All new.
AFC a little different, by the way.
Yes,
AFC a little different.
All right. Ted Nugent. You think you know Ted Nugent, right? You think you know his politics. Heck, for crying out loud, Ted Nugent campaigned with Sarah Palin and John McCain during the 2008 election campaign. Now we're getting ready for 2012. So Ted Nugent must be ready to endorse and campaign with Sarah Palin. Maybe not, he tells CNN.
Let's talk about Sarah Palin. You're a huge fan of Sarah Palin.
I'm a huge fan of Sarah Palin, both literally and figuratively.
Do you think she can be president in 2012?
It's way too early to know. Right now, no. Today,
do you think
no.
she would make a good president?
But she's on her way to being a good leader. She's coming from the street. She's coming from the we the people rank and file. She makes sense when she talks. She says all the right things. She's sincere. She's knowledgeable, she's articulate, and she's damn good looking. Plus, she kills moose. How can you go wrong?
She's kind of hot. Do you think she could be a good president?
It's too early to tell. Right now, if we had a vote today, I couldn't vote for Sarah Palin. And I love her. I love her madly.
How about that? What do you think?
Well, did he say who he would vote for?
He did not.
Surprising. I mean, if I think in the same way that Lyndon Johnson said, when you lose Cronkite, you lose Middle America. I think for Sarah Palin, when you lose Ted Nugent, you've lost your constituency.
You've lost the Nuge. You've lost it all. By the way, he's sporting a kind of Burl Ives chin piece right now. I don't know if he's going to be Burl Ives, but I think wherever Burl Ives is, he wants his chin hair back.
Is he packing a guitar?
He is much better groomed than Mike Yucknitz, though, I'll say that. What about this idea of reissuing Huckleberry Finn, the classic Mark Twain story, but editing out the now politically incorrect N-word? I mean, really? Are we really at this point?
Where does this? I mean, and I guess the concern is for kids, but leave this thing alone. And I think this thing can be taught in schools, and you can explain to kids the historical context. I mean, where do you start? I mean, I go back to, I'm a big Beatles fan. You know, I think of the song "Working Class Hero" by John Lennon used the F word twice. So what are you going to do? Are you going to have somebody mess with that 30, 50 years down the line?
Yeah, what is art if you can't
Exactly.
if it doesn't exist in the form that the artist created it, right, Jim? I mean, I know you're a lover of art.
Yeah. Do we edit history? There were some bad things that happened in
Sometimes.
history, some ugly, politically correct episodes in history. So should we edit that?
Yeah. Maybe we could edit the history of slavery and just refer to them as employees. Grossly underpaid employees, because slave's a derogatory term. How about that?
Without health care benefits.
You know, one thing though that I do worry about. I don't mean to sound like a Luddite here, but this is a debate about a published work. I wonder what's going to happen in the future with ebooks, because you don't have to announce you're making a change. You could do all kinds of things with ebooks and never say you were excising language, passages, and the people reading them aren't going to be able to tell. At least when you pick up a hardcover or softcover book, it says abridged or unabridged. But look, these ebooks, I think they could change all the time. We wouldn't know.
And in a sense, I mean, you could say that films, when they appear on television, over the, historically, especially network television, they get edited for length, they get edited for language, and I'm sure the directors have not always had control over how that's done. In some cases, maybe they have. So you could say that's a similar type of thing. It's taking it away from the artist and having somebody tamper with it. But there's something about a book, I think, that it feels like
well, at
it's
least on the airplane. I would think
Yeah.
most people know on the airplane they're seeing the airline version of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good analogy. I remember one time I was on a flight and I saw a movie that I really enjoyed. And when I got home, I told Valerie, "Oh man, we got to watch this movie. It is really good. You're really going to love it." Not thinking about what they had taken out, and what they had taken out were these really raunchy scenes. And she's looking at me like, "You enjoyed this?" And I'm saying, "Look, I was on an airplane. I didn't know. I didn't realize it was R-rated." But you're right. You got to think about those things.
Somehow, though, with a book, it's just it gets a little Fahrenheit 451 or something. I don't know. There's just something that makes it a little bit. I think makes us nervous when we feel like books are being altered.
It's also very presumptuous that people who can't write books know how to fix the books written by people who do know how to write them. Oh, I'm no author, but I can fix Mark Twain. Well, who are you to fix Mark Twain? Yeah. We're going to come back with a lightning round here on Gang of Four and kick around very quickly some of the other stories of the week and get your votes in on the JR poll. It's 11:25 on KTSA.